we're back, still here at RSA 2024. It's still sunny in San Francisco and beautiful, and wish you were all here. Talking to some of the most interesting people, and ran into Allan Liska, the ransomware sommelier.
Hey, man.
From Recorded Future. Allan, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. This is really nice. I love this setup. I know it's kind of MacGyvered together, but it looks really professional. You all did an amazing job.
We did it on the fly. We got a great production team. We'll give them a nod.
Absolutely.
In the credits here. So you talk a lot about ransomware.
I do.
And
I'm going to be talking about it more this week with the Lockbit announcement. So I know that's coming. I don't know when this is being released, but it's not coming until after we record it.
Yes, yes. So you're safe. You're safe to talk about it here.
But we're definitely going to see more of that this week.
Excellent, excellent. So instead of talking about something quite as serious, I guess it's serious subject matter still, but in a fun way. So not too long ago, you started producing, hold this up for the camera, a comic book series.
I did. Yes.
Tell us about it. Tell us about the inspiration. Tell us about the characters. Tell us about why you decided to go into this medium.
So I grew up in the DC area, and every Sunday night, because I was a terrible student, I would spend Sunday evening doing my homework because I was not going to waste the rest of my weekend doing that. And so I would listen to two things. First, and for anybody under 20, you won't get this reference, Casey Kasem's American Top 40. And then after that, our local NPR station would play old-time radio serials. And these were radio programs that broadcast in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. My absolute favorite was Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar. Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar was a freelance insurance investigator who basically traveled around the world trying to solve crimes, murders, get beat up by thugs. The man had more concussions over 800 episodes than like Tom Brady had in his career. And he didn't have the refs protecting him.
Insurance is a rough game.
Yes, it is. And his tagline was the man with the action-packed expense account. Now, 12-year-old me has no idea what an expense account is.
Yeah.
50-year-old me is painfully familiar with the concept.
That's right.
And what I found out, so all of these shows are in the public domain. And so you can listen to them on like Sirius or XM. And then there are people who have turned them into, they make a podcast out of just replaying the episodes. You can find them on YouTube or whatever. And as I've been traveling around the world helping people with ransomware attacks, I found out that a number of other people who are in ransomware incident response also really love Johnny Dollar because it's basically comfort food. It's 800 episodes. You can listen to them while you're working on your reports.
It's got that good kind of noir kind of feel to it.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's got like that Bogart, Sam Spade kind of feel to it. And they're nice to just listen while you're, on a plane working on reports. I mean, assuming the guy in front of you hasn't put his seat in your face all,
Right. That would be me, sorry.
Right. No, totally fine. The airplane makes the seats recline, even though it's inconvenient for the person behind them. But that's a whole other diatribe. And so it was like, I had made jokes with other people in the industry that, we're the men and women with the action-packed expense account, minus, of course, the action, because mostly we sit in dark rooms all day and type and do reports. And so we thought that it would be really cool to turn something like this into a comic book, except making him a freelance cyber insurance investigator dealing with ransomware. So kind of bringing him into the modern age, but keeping that noir feel to him. And so got the idea. I had no idea how to make a comic book. I've read comic books my whole life, but I had no idea how to make a comic book.
The process, the storyboarding.
Right, exactly. So I did what everybody does. I turned to Reddit, and there's a subreddit called Comics Collab, and I found out, oh, hey, there's all this cool stuff here. And then it turns out that when you pay people money, because everybody in Comics Collab is like, all right, so I have this great idea for a comic. I need artists, I need writers, I need, all this other stuff, but I don't have any money. And I went the other route. I went to my wife and I said, hey, I'm going to take some of our savings. I'm going to make a comic book. Please don't hit me. And
You staked this yourself.
So I did the initial because I wanted to do it, but I feel artists should always get paid for the work. And I'm like, I don't know whether or not there'll be anybody, because this intersection of people who like old time radio and people who hate ransomware. I wasn't sure how big that would be, but I knew it wasn't going to be big. Like it wasn't going to be Spider-Man big. So I took some money out of savings, hired artists, and hired a letterer. I wrote the story for the first one, and then we launched a Kickstarter. We raised $9,000 for the first book, which was enough to cover the cost for the first book, plus get started on the second one. So I'm like, all right, we have a series here. And so we've done Kickstarters for each of the first three. And on May 20th, we're going to launch the Kickstarter for the fourth, which will be the final one in this series. And I made a whole lot of mistakes along the way. It turns out reading comic books and then learning how to make a comic book is two very different things.
Oh, sure.
But I learned a lot, and we've kept the same team through the first, second, and third issue, which means and now the fourth issue, which means that the issues run so much more smoothly now because everybody knows the way everybody thinks, and I've learned a lot. And
how big is the team now?
So we have myself as a writer, and then I have a second writer who alternates some of the issues with me. We have an artist in Brazil who does the interior artwork. We have an artist in North Dakota who does the covers. Mm-hmm. Then we have a second artist in Pennsylvania who does the alternate covers. Our letterer and designer is based out of Florida. So we're really kind of all over the place. But it's been really nice. We do everything basically by email, and we have a Google Drive that we upload everything to, and so on. And
that's fantastic.
That
Okay,
cool.
So describe, the colors are vibrant. The animation is fantastic. The writing's very good.
Thank you.
If you know something about ransomware, you'll find it interesting because there's like little, I'll say, Easter eggs in there for you. Right?
So one of the things that we did is I wanted to make them the stories as true to life as possible without being real. But I also wanted to keep the feel of the original Johnny Dollar. So again, the hook for the first Johnny Dollar, the radio serial, was his expense account. Mm-hmm. And that he would use that as a narrative device. So, all of his reports happened afterwards, and it was like totaling, expense for $50 to fly from Hartford, Connecticut to LA, because, we're talking 1940s money here.
Yeah, nickel cup of coffee instead of $7.
Right, exactly. And so that's what we did. And to keep really that feel, and plus because Johnny knows that you can't encrypt pen and paper, he still writes all of his expenses in his notebook. So you'll see there's the notebook that's used as the narrative device to tell the story, to get the expenses in, and he goes forward. So we started him off in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, dealing with a ransomware attack against a steel mill. Then he went to Milan, Italy to deal with a ransomware attack against the water system there. Then Billings, Montana to deal with a ransomware attack against the school system. And for the fourth issue, he's going to go to London to deal with a ransomware attack against the UK healthcare system. So all really drawn from the headlines, but not based on a specific incident. I see
you've kind of gone across industries, some of the industries that are getting targeted hardest, manufacturing, healthcare.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Education, obviously. I mean, you're very familiar with what goes on with ransomware, and these are particularly vulnerable industries that we're seeing. And so I wanted to highlight that. But I wanted to throw a little action in it, right? I mean, my job is mostly writing up reports and other things. Yeah. Here he gets to punch the bad guys. In issue 2, in issue 2, he has to deal with the ransomware actor hiring a hitman to go after him, which we haven't quite seen, but we are seeing that move to violence as a service.
I think Krebs had to deal with something kind of close to that. Right. It wasn't ransomware, it was...
But it was swatting that he had to deal with. So it's, again, analogous to life, but not real life. And then in the third issue, because it's a ransomware attack on the school system, the ransomware actor threatens to ruin the kids' careers by releasing pictures that he found, or by releasing, anything negative and sending it to the colleges they've applied to, and so on. That sort of expanded extortion model that we continue to see. So again,
from the exfiltrated data and the
exactly. So it's all based on what we've seen in real cases, just none of it analogous to a
But
real
it's
case.
not all fiction. There's real villains in this, right?
Yeah. Well, no. Yes and no.
As far as
the bad guy's name,
I got a sneak peek at a future cover here.
Yeah. The bad guy's name is Boris. So he's definitely Russian, and he's based on one particular real character, but we're not going to give him the benefit of mentioning his name because he already likes hearing his name too much.
But you name a few of the bigger ransomware operators, RAS groups and stuff.
We do, absolutely. Again, it's drawn from the life experience, and we want to bring that reality to it, but we want to tell a good story. That's the primary thing that you have to do with a medium like comic books. It has to be a visually appealing story, but it has to be a good story. Like the first lesson I had to learn writing a comic book is you can't have a wall of text. Nobody's going to read that in a comic book. So how do you write? It's kind of like learning Twitter the first time.
And expressing a lot of it in the pictures and
exactly. And so that was a real learning experience for me, and that's made me a better communicator.
Well, this is a lot of fun. I mean, we need more kind of fun thing. We work in a very, very serious, sometimes depressing industry because we get a lot of bad news all the time. So this is a lot of fun. Where can they go to find out a little bit more? Get copies?
So when is this being released? Do you know?
Oh, probably in a couple of weeks after RSA.
Okay. So it is at the RSA bookstore, but that doesn't help anybody listening after. The website where you can see previews and everything is johnnydollar.io. And then our company is Green Archer Comics, which is greenarcher.io.
Excellent. And where can they find you and
I'm
follow
on
you?
Twitter at Allan. Just search for the ransomware sommelier, and you can't miss it. So.
Excellent. Allan, thank you for taking time to tell us about this work.
Man, thank you for having me on it, and congratulations on doing the podcast. That's amazing. I
Appreciate
love
that.
to see these kind of things being done in the cybersecurity industry in these ways of entertaining and informing people.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Take care.